Welcome to Confessions of a PT. I'm James McCallion from James McCallion Transformations.
And I'm Matt Cowell from Mind and Movement Mentoring. And between us, we've got over 25 years of coaching and personal training experience.
And every single week, we're going to provide you with all our best tips and laughs along the way. Welcome to this week's episode of Confessions of a PT. We just want to thank all of you that's watching and giving us a love. We really appreciate it. In this week's episodes, we're going to be, does your PT need to be in good shape? So how's your week been, Mr. Carl?
It's been good. Yeah, it's been good, thanks. It's been largely uneventful, which I suppose is good.
Yeah, so
no news is good news. It stresses the modern life. What about yours?
Yeah, it's been crazy, mate, business-wise and everything like that, but embracing the journey. So if I go in with a question for you then, do you think that PTs need to be in good shape? What are your thoughts?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say a hard yes, actually, as well. I think if you'd have asked me this a few years ago, I might have said maybe. But I feel with as competitive as the industry is, everyone knows a PT or a coach. It's something else we'll talk about, I'm sure, but it's not a hugely regulated industry. And the barrier for entry is lower than it's ever been. Too low, in my opinion. I think being in good shape, one person's good shape is not another person's good shape, we should mention, but shows that you can do it with yourself, which is a positive, and or you have a great passion for the health and wellness space. And also I think that PTs that aren't in quote unquote good shape, they're missing a piece of being able to build leverage on themselves, which is the glue that holds it all together. And how do you inspire and motivate does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me is relatability. I feel like if you're not practicing what you preach in regards to a physical point of view, but mental as well, like walk the walk as well as talk the talk.
Yeah, big time.
So when I first did my PT course, one of the guys that was like, he wasn't the overall mentor, but he was like a side coach sort of thing. He was without doubt one of the most knowledgeable guys I've ever come across, but was so out of shape. Like he was ex-rugby and stuff like that. But again, it was just like I was listening to him, but it didn't really hit as hard as it would have if he was this. I mean, it's again perception of like the Men's Health magazine and stuff like that. But I think from a client point of view, if I was ever telling a client like you need to do this, or if I haven't been through them struggles, I think that's where the accountability comes in, because I've gone through this journey. I know how you are feeling, whether it's at point A from your journey, point B, C, wherever it is. And from a consistency point of view for them, I think it's ultra important.
Yeah, I mean, we know as coaches, client buy-in is everything. And if they need to be somewhat inspired or want to work towards looking like you in some way, shape or form, or perform like you, that increases buy-in for sure. The more bought in they are, the more consistent they are, the more likely they are to stay the course. More motivated is an overused word, but you kind of know what I mean. And I think that's massive. I think, look, you can have people who are very, very technical in different areas, like I don't know, maybe things like strongman, Olympic lifting, that kind of thing, where it doesn't have to be like quote unquote aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I think in many ways, someone that is really strong, but doesn't look like your stereotype PT, totally fine. That's more of the argument of what I'm saying. They're kind of, like you said, they're walking the walk in terms of how they're living their life. They're training hard for something. I struggle to see how you would inspire people in a very competitive world. And if I was a client, I wouldn't be necessarily harsh enough to say I'd be looking to jump ship and just go. But do you know what I mean? I'd feel like, this is tough here, this modern life. Don't just show me that you're struggling with everything. Be a beacon of hope for me as to kind of what I can do with this.
Yeah. I feel like you said, with having a good physique, it shows discipline, it shows consistency, and that is everything, isn't it? But I think we live in a world where obviously steroids is very, very
Roids.
common, not just for men but for women as well. And I know a lot of people's argument when I say that you can't cheat a physique, that you've got all these fat burners, illegal should I say, normal ones are rubbish in my opinion, test boosters and stuff. So but I do feel like there's still a sense of you having to work hard, and I've actually experienced some people that just take roids and do nothing, and then they end up with gyno and stuff like that, which is, they just look horrific. So I feel it's it's
gyno life.
yeah, it's so important. But yeah, the buy-in at the start is everything. I think the biggest, most important phase of a client's journey for me is the first 21 days. Like, they need to be bought in, they need goals, they need targets, and if you're not bought in and switched on from the start and believe in me, and we lose sight of that journey together, it's chaos, because it's just that first, any negative emotion with it, I feel like you're just going to bin it off. Oh, well,
Yeah.
my coaches are doing it, my coach doesn't look like this. But again, I feel we live in a world where social media as well, you've got editing tools left, right and centre, and I've seen it with some PTs that absolutely look amazing on the gram, and I'm like, oh my god, I see him in real life. I'm like, hold on a minute, you've got a few little wrinkles here and there, your biceps aren't that big now, boy. And it is that placebo effect, isn't it? But people are so quick to jump on that train of, oh my god, he looks incredible and stuff like that, and he could be natural, he could be not. But yeah, walking the walk for me is so important, and I've always prided myself on that, in looking at, well, some say decent, some say amazing. But yeah, from a young age as well, and I do think if you're inspiring people, you should be at the front of the pack for sure.
I zoned out slightly again and started thinking. What I thought was I'm sure there's things that I say over and over again, but one that you say is, we live in a world where.
Well, I'm never saying that again.
That's fine. But I wanted to. I can see like Confessions of a PT bingo card coming out where it's like, things
Right,
that are
50
definitely on there, like, and it's like James saying, "We live in a world where."
I'm gonna say goji berries for you. Of the berries.
Goji berries are a conspiracy theory. I think one place that argument is flawed is where you get the, not to be ageist, but the 19-year-old fitness influencer, genetically gifted, took one serving of BCAA and done a dumbbell workout, looks absolutely amazing, and is now selling in plans, and has no idea about a client journey, how to overcome barriers, problems people in the real world face, problems that people who are a little bit older face, and that kind of thing. And it's, if you just went solely on physique, you're my guy or you're my girl, you would lose something there potentially. So you have to be a bit careful with maybe not using the shape that they're in, especially in the, if you've not seen them in person, the roided up, filtered up, social media lighted world that we live in. That's a pitfall that you could fall into.
Yeah, we did an argument when I was at university about how much is genetics involved, and I think when we did the study, they put it down to like 3 to 5%. I personally feel like it's a little bit more.
Yeah,
I feel like you do get genetically gifted people that are just stacked, and they said have to pick up a dumbbell or even look at a dumbbell, and they're absolutely wham. But I think, again, going back to the social media thing, I get taught when I was trying to promote how to get like jacked and hypertrophy, the TikTok just destroyed me. There was haters. I think I said this before, I got called Gollum on Lord of the Rings, one with the hairline, one with being skinny. But again, and then I put a video on the gram actually about, there was this absolutely roided up, the geezer must have been about 22 stone, he's got veins on veins, like double biceps and stuff like that, but he was like, follow this meal plan, and it's just, but the comments on it like, oh my god, you're amazing, thank you for this, but that's why the industry is so saturated, because you've got someone like that. If I was to say that, I was getting ripped apart, but just because he's roided up, I mean, he could just like do one set and he's absolutely wham, whereas I'm actually trying to give you my 14 years golden nuggets of information of everything I've learned through like amazing people in the industry, but because I don't look like this typical roided up, like, I think I'm jacked, I'm going to go say it right now, right? You know what I mean? I believe in my product. But it's just that perception on social media, isn't it? Like, again, it's all perception versus reality.
Well, the barometer has completely moved, didn't it? We spoke about this before, that like, what is a a good shape has been massively distorted by images that you see. You see people who are juiced up to the gills on all sorts of stuff that you can't buy from Holland and Barrett. That's another thing they can't buy from.
Goji berries, Holland and Barrett, that's in there.
You know, and then you've got no idea then where your marker for success is. If you see him and you're not even 20% of that, then you think that that is what the natural male physique is, which has other problems we spoke about, like male body dysmorphia and things like that before. Then when you look at taking action to get a coach, it's distorted as to what you can achieve. You know, because I've had people say to me, like, oh, do you think I could get rid of all this and get like abs? Like, and I'll be like, yeah, well, yeah, like for sure. And then they're like, by the summer, and it's like
That's
April the 30th or something like that, like when we're having the conversation. And it's like, in time, you know, like, so that's the problem with that. But yeah, the relativity has been skewed by social media and things. But I think client buy-in is huge. It's one of the most important things. And I feel like if you have a coach who's also on their journey to look better, perform differently, and they're really serious, committed, passionate about that, then you're always going to have kind of high level conversations as well, because they're finding out different things where they're just constantly learning because it's a passion of theirs. So rather than just learning so that I can give a client experience, you're kind of learning through your own journey and what you find out and think and different things, and you can relate to different mindsets along the way. So rather than just like, well, this is where you get like bigger arms but no core, this is where, and it's like nuts and bolts, you're like, this is where you fall out of love with it because you lose a bit of self-belief. But then you go again and do this. And then what happened to me was I fell out of love with it at that time because it was Christmas, and you've got more of a relatable story to tell where you're just further on down the journey that they want to be on, with more of a result that they're always going to kind of try and catch up to.
Yeah, agree with that, mate. I think it's dictatorship versus partnership for me as well. Like you said, if you've been through that journey, people are going to be like, okay, he understands. Whereas if I was just here and be like, do this, I'd be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, he doesn't know my struggles, he doesn't know my variables and stuff like that. I think the flip side of it as well, which I did want to touch on, is just because a PT is in amazing shape doesn't make them a good coach. And I've seen that time and time again of people that are more concerned, checking their Instagram with clients as well, which is just get rid of them, and that is your PT. But it doesn't necessarily mean just because you enjoy training yourself. And I think this is why the industry sees so many PTs in the door but out just as fast. I think the lifespan's six months, is it?
It's very short. It's the churn on people that start at careers as PTs is
very low.
short.
And it's because, like I said, it's a completely different ball game. So it's two sides of it, isn't it? Yes, I do feel like they have to be on their own journey, been there, done it, stay in shape and preach from the top. But at the same time, you've got to love what you do and genuinely have a passion into it of like helping people's life, changing people's life, rather than you just wanting to train bench 5 times a week.
Someone actually messaged me saying a good episode topic would be talking about why there's such a fast turnover of PTs. So maybe we'll do that on the next episode.
Like it.
Keep them coming in. The suggestions, please.
Yeah. It's time for this week's wheel. Matt will be on the receiving end of whatever the wheel lands on. So without further ado, see what we got there, Mr. Cow. All random facts.
Random fact. Okay.
10 seconds.
So in time, 1 million seconds is 11 days, but 1 billion seconds is 32 years.
Nice, interesting. Perfect.
Was that inside of 10 seconds?
Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to tune in next week, and remember to like, comment and subscribe for more value.